if you're Sark, do you accept the bowl bid at 5? Yeah, you 100% accept it. First off, it gets you a chance to build morale, culture, through the practices. It gets you to see who you want going into next year to start at certain positions. The practices are very key, guys. I don't think the practices can be understated for the simple fact Tom Herman went from 7-6 to 10-4, and I believe a lot of that had to do with the bowl practices because we saw a lot of guys shine in that bowl game and then going in next year and shine even more into that next year. So I think that's what the bowl game is mostly for. If we win or lose that bowl game, I could care less. I just want the practices for the bowl game. Remember, Worthy was a 4-star. Golden and Thompson can be Worthy like players. I wouldn't put that much expectation on them personally, just because what Xavier Worthy is doing is very extraordinary. Not many freshman wide receivers come in and do this, guys. It's not natural to do this as a freshman. So don't put those expectations on those guys. I think that'd be unfair. Like I said, if Brennan Thompson next year were to catch 20 to 30 passes for 300 to 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, I would be perfectly fine with that. That means he made a slight impact on the offense. That's all I expect out of a freshman. I don't expect the freshman to be the best player on your team. I think that'd be pretty asinine and ridiculous to do that, in my opinion. I mean, coming into this year, did we expect Xavier Worthy to do this? I expected him to be good. I didn't expect him to be one of the probably 10 best wide receivers in college football. I think to do that to another guy coming in here and set those expectations would be pretty. I just wouldn't do it. Just don't do that. Worthy is the only guy the rest of the wide receivers average or below average. I think they're average. I think we have a bunch of C wide receivers. I don't think they're below average. I think Marcus Washington's a C wide receiver. I think Jordan Whittington's a C wide receiver. Uh, and those are like the two guys that come to mind. Like I said, we need to build depth at that position, and we need for sure someone to step up either in the portal and come in and be like, I think just be our third best wide receiver. Like I think Jordan Whittington can be our second best wide receiver. You got to remember, he isn't a total natural wide receiver. Like, look at his high school film. He did a lot of running back, played all over. And then with the injuries and stuff, it's probably been hard for him to grasp the offense, even though I know Sark, I believe in the offseason, said he was like the fastest at doing so. But then getting injured and having to play different positions, I still think there's a lot of room for him to improve there. So just come in and build depth through the portal, or have someone like Jordan Hudson, Shaz Preston, if you have someone like that, or even Evan Stewart, if still possible to get him, come in and be your number two, or be your number three if possible. I don't know if that's possible though. The positive of not playing a bowl game is the time to recruit the players in the portal, and that's another positive. You can look at that as a positive. So, I mean, you can do both. You have time to do both, but I would agree with you. Like, if you were boiling it down to would I rather be in a bowl game at the practices or rather hit the portal hard and recruiting hard, I'd probably rather hit recruiting in the portal hard. But you can do both. That's has nothing to do with that, the Asian persuasion. It's a Texas brand. It's with the ratings we draw. We'd 100% get invited to a bowl game. We'd be number one on that list of 5-7 teams. It wouldn't even be close if they don't get enough 6-6 teams to fill out the bowls. So that's not even a question. That doesn't matter about the loss to Kansas. It's all about that Texas brand, all about the ratings. Sark schemes with speed. I'm not expecting contested catches, but I think his scheme Thompson and Golden are reliable catchers with burner speed. Picked up Chris Ball in the class over the weekend. Yeah, I mean, that's true, but the thing is, you have to have a Troy O'Meara too. We forget about his injury, him coming back. I think he can make a decent impact. You know, he's not a typical Sark wide receiver, so that's another guy we got to take into consideration. If he stays too, I don't know, he could transfer. Yeah, 100%. Tech's always going to be invited to a bowl game because of the brand, the ratings, the pageantry. That's what college football is about. So we'll get invited. Should he accept that invite? That's up for debate. I think you should personally, but who knows? And I may be talking about this now. By the end of all the games on Saturday, it may not matter. Like there may be too many 6-6 teams, so this may be a moot point. Is that are you if you're talking about Worthy, or I don't know exactly who you're talking about, but yeah, I think that Sark does a very good job of recognizing talent on the offensive side of the ball. So I trust him on that side. Defense obviously looked better today. So we'll see going forward. That'd be another interesting thing too to see if the defense continues to look better. The last 2 games they looked decent. If they continue to look better in the bowl game, that'd be pretty interesting to see as well. We got invited under 5-6. Yeah, we did. So we could deny it. That's a possibility. I could see that, but I really believe the practices are important, guys. I really do. But we could deny it. Again, for like hitting recruiting and the transfer portal, that's another thing that was brought up. So that could be a possibility. No, it 100% looked logical this game. This was like the first game all year. I'm like, okay, this actually makes sense. And maybe, like I said, it could be the players. He could be playing with one hand tied or play calling with one hand tied behind his back to where the player strengths don't meet up with his strengths. So he has to do a lot of things that he doesn't really want to do. Possibility. But again, it's hard to know because he doesn't talk. I would love to see assistant coaches available during the week to be asked like 4 or 5 questions. Just ask him, like, what are you seeing that we aren't? Why are you doing this? Well, blah, 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 blah. Like some of his stuff just logically doesn't make sense most of the time. This game it did. And a lot of that has to do with, let's be honest here, Will Howard is not very good. Skylar Thompson is much better. I feel bad for that guy because he's always hurt, but I can't. I mean, it shows the lack of talent on defense also when we're getting outrun by Will Howard, who's not a very good runner, and he's just beating everyone down the left sideline, like everyone. He even outran Deshaun Jameson. I think Rashad Samples may get like a head coaching job. There's been rumors of that at TCU, so that'd be interesting. Who knows? Or he could get the head coaching job at SMU if Sonny Dykes leaves. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen to him. All I know is he's going to get paid. I don't know if we're going to be able to afford him this offseason. Jimmy Lake, I agree with, and I think we end up getting him. He may want to keep some of that money, so we may just hire him on as an analyst, but maybe not. Yeah, I actually had that game on. I'm actually from Dayton, Ohio, so that was pretty. And Dayton is terrible, by the way, this year. They lost to Austin P and UMass Lowell, so that's a terrible loss for Kansas. Yep, Robert, we've already discussed it. Armani Winfield decommitted, obviously the first recruit in the class, and he decommitted. That's going to be interesting. I know. I think Old Miss is high on him. I think that's a possibility. I think Texas obviously is a possibility. Ohio State is also up there. I just don't see that happening. That wouldn't make any sense to me with the logjam they have at quarterback. So I think it's going to end up being either us or possibly Old Miss. Peter DeGray, if you're a 5-star wideout and pick A&M to be the blocker than the ball out like Xavier Worthy, then you are a dumbass. I actually agree with that. I don't understand why any wide receiver would want to go to A&M. Again, it's about your priorities as well, though. Like, if you want to win, then I understand A&M at least wins at a higher level than Texas. But then again, if you really want to win, then why wouldn't you just go to Alabama where you can win and put up numbers? That's like the number one thing why I'm never going to blame anyone for going to Alabama because you can win and put up numbers. You may have to wait a year or two. Evan Stewart probably wouldn't start his freshman year. He'd probably get in for probably catch 10 to 20 balls, maybe 30 max. And then he next year, his sophomore year, would be the year he solidifies himself. So that would, if I was him, that's where I would go. If you're choosing between Alabama, Texas A&M, but then I would choose Texas. Like, hey, you're not doing anything at A&M. You see what Demas is doing at A&M. He's doing nothing. He's not building his brand. He's not building an NFL resume. So I really don't understand why you'd want to go there. But hey, that's on him.